Well, it's a big day for Americans tomorrow as the country heads to the polls. Over 93 million people have already cast their votes. So what does this U.S. election mean for South Africans and how are they feeling? Khayelihle Khumalo took to the streets of Johannesburg to find out. He joins us now live. So Kaya, what are South Africans saying and are they watching the upcoming elections in the U.S. keenly?
Well, undoubtedly, Shahan, there's a great deal of interest, especially because when you look at the context between South Africa and the United States, the proximity between the two nations, it's one of the largest trading partners for Pretoria. So a lot of South Africans are keenly watching the developments. Obviously, a lot of them do have their own views about the past 4 years under the Trump administration. You do have those who are saying that, there has been a bit of a regression. But albeit, these two countries, in so many fronts, they do work together. There might be certain differences. We saw at some instances where Trump was not happy with South Africa's land policy. But in the main, a lot of South Africans are saying they are looking forward to seeing the outcome. So we got an opportunity to speak to these guys.
Think about Trump mostly, because after watching the presidential debate, I just felt like America is just in trouble because I feel like there's no winning with either side,
America really needs a great leader right now because I think that people have been marching, protesting for the longest time, and I think it's time for action.
He's in it to get the votes, but from an ethical point of view, everything else is discarded, even in terms of feminism and sexuality and all this thing, yeah.
I wouldn't say Trump is bad or good. Everyone has their own bad side and a good side. So let's just look at both views and just judge from that. Let's not be biased on one point only.
I'd settle for Biden. We've seen what Trump can do. We've seen what he did. We do not know what Biden can do. So, give the man a chance.
So what about Americans living in South Africa? How do they feel?
Well, a very significant number of Americans do live in South Africa. So a lot of them that we spoke to say this is a defining moment. It's time for America to reclaim its position as a leading democracy in the world. So most of them, they have cast their vote. They are part of that 90-odd million number that have, of course, made use of the early election voting process. A lot of them, they are cautiously optimistic, so they are really adamant that they'll be able to use their voice. But also, most importantly, a lot of them, they are saying that they are really concerned about the trajectory that the country has taken, how everything has become America first. That has been a main mantra of the current incumbent. So we spoke to Lizzie, and this was her perspective.
The message is to vote for the future, to vote for the reality of the world that we live in, and that we need to move forward. We can't move back in history. And we need to be able to work together collaboratively as Americans, as all Americans, and as human beings in this earth. We've got an earth to look after. We have each other to look after. And I think, even just down to aspects of basic decency and respect, there are just so many issues at play here. And unfortunately, I have to say, this is also about protecting our democracy. It really is just astounding. It's hard for me to even say it. As an American, we never would have thought that this is something that we would have to do at this point. But our democracy is under threat, and it is something that we need to vote on. We need to protect that democracy through our vote.